Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You sent over a really fascinating document today. It outlines this approach to language learning that just sort of flips the whole traditional classroom model on its head.
It really does.
We're moving away from, rote memorization
Yep.
and straight into the spotlight.
That's right. This deep dive is all about the ESC Institute. That's Edutainment Smart Classes Institute of Multilanguages.
A mouthful.
It is, yeah. But for anyone listening who's ever felt, tongue-tied trying to speak a new language or even just struggles with public speaking confidence, this source offers a radically different solution.
So our mission today is to really unpack this specific methodology. The Institute's whole belief seems to be that real communication skills, they're not built in quiet study.
No, not at all. They're built through drama, creativity, performance arts. We want to figure out how they're using theatrical training to build, real fluency.
And what immediately jumps out is the focus on practical outcomes.
Exactly. It's all about measurable results, confidence, clarity, things you can actually use. They aren't just grading vocabulary lists. They're training people to own the stage, metaphorically and, well, literally.
And the detail that really caught my eye,
Yeah.
the one that made me go, okay, we have to talk about this, is that a core part of this whole thing involves using superheroes
Yes.
and focused dialogue delivery to get there. It just raises the question, can embracing your inner Thor actually help you speak better German?
Well, let's find out.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay.
So diving into the first section of this material, the core philosophy, it's all about creative communication. The ESC Institute's main goal is developing strong communication skills through what they call creative learning.
Yeah.
I guess this is where the edutainment part of their name comes from.
Precisely. And that term, edutainment, it's not just some clever marketing buzzword. It really reflects a deep pedagogical shift. It's this recognition that engagement is, well, it's everything in modern education.
Especially for adults, I'd imagine.
For adults, for anyone prone to anxiety, absolutely. By fusing entertainment, specifically performance, with education, they're lowering what linguists call the affective filter.
Okay, explain that for us.
Yeah.
What is the affective filter? Why is it such a barrier?
Think of it as a mental shield, a wall of self-consciousness that we all put up
Yeah.
when you feel judged or anxious about making a mistake.
Which is basically every language class I've ever been in.
Right. That filter goes way up. And even if your brain knows the grammar rule, you just can't produce the language naturally. Traditional classrooms, they can make this worse because the focus is always on correctness, on the test.
So by bringing in drama, performance, you're making it fun, which lowers the stakes.
Exactly.
If I'm playing a character, any mistake I make, that's the character's mistake, not mine.
You've got it. It completely redirects the learner's focus. It's not about your own inadequacy anymore. It's about performing a role. And that is incredibly powerful for developing fluency.
And this isn't just for one language, right?
No, not at all. The document is very clear. It lists English, German, and French, but then it specifically says it applies to several other global languages.
Which proves the method is about the skill itself, the fundamentals of communication, not just the vocabulary of one language.
That's the key.
It makes sense. I mean, the real challenge is speaking with clarity, with some enthusiasm, not just checking off grammar boxes.
Yeah.
So, if that's the philosophy, how do they actually do it? Here's where it gets really interesting.
And this brings us right to the mechanics of it all, what they call performance pedagogy. It's a very active, very physical process. It's designed to embed the language into the student's behavior, not just their memory.
The document is pretty specific about the core elements. It lists drama, expressions, gestures, and effective body language. It sounds less like sitting at a desk and more like a rehearsal for a play.
It is. It's an intentional rehearsal. They're basically applying acting techniques to dialogue delivery. If you look deeper, they're focusing on things like vocal variety, projection, even emotional mapping.
Emotional mapping.
Yeah, understanding how the emotion of a situation should influence your word choice, your tone, your delivery. It's directly preparing students for high-stakes, real-world conversations.
I see how that builds confidence, for sure. But let me ask a skeptical question here.
Please.
Is there a risk that focusing so much on drama makes the communication feel, artificial, overly theatrical instead of just natural?
That is a critical point. But the goal isn't to create stage actors, it's to build foundational confidence. Think about it. So many learners default to mumbling or using a really flat tone because they're scared.
Right, scared of their pronunciation or just not knowing the right word?
Exactly. So by training them to project, to use gestures, to have clear expressions, you are intentionally overcorrecting for those base issues of shyness and fear.
Ah, so you're using these dramatic tools to force new habits. Habits of clarity and projection that over time just become part of their natural speaking style.
Precisely. This is where the whole concept of embodied cognition comes in.
Okay, break that down for our listener.
We tend to treat language as something that just happens in the brain, right? Purely cognitive. But communication is profoundly physical. When you require a learner to use big gestures, to stand tall and confident while speaking,
You're creating more connections in the brain.
stronger multisensory neural pathways. It's like muscle memory, but for speaking. The more you physically embody the assertiveness of a word, the less your brain has to consciously search for it later. The movement and the feeling get linked to the language,
So it actually speeds up retrieval.
fundamentally. And that creates the smooth, natural flow we call fluency. It makes the language live in the body, not just in a textbook.
Which brings us to the benefits they list. Improved fluency, enhanced confidence, and personality development. That last one is fascinating.
It is.
It implies they're unlocking a student's ability to be their authentic self, even in a language they're just learning.
It does. It means they're fighting that feeling of being a lesser, shyer version of yourself when you're speaking a foreign language. By teaching you to use your whole physical self to convey meaning, they're making sure your personality shines through, regardless of the occasional mistake.
Okay, let's talk about the big, tangible example they use to bring all this to life. The Saturday superhero dialogue show.
It's just a brilliant pedagogical choice.
This is where the theory gets very, very practical.
It is. The participants are the ESC Shining Stars, that's the students, and they work with the global educators. It's not just a recital, it's like a capstone project for all these skills.
But why superheroes? I mean, of all things, why not historical speeches or something?
Well, the choice to use inspiring superhero dialogues is, I think, really multi-layered. First, aspirational characters demand conviction.
Right. You can't deliver a line meant to save the world in a timid whisper.
Exactly. It forces you to use that projection, that emotional range we were just talking about. And second, superheroes often speak in these emphatic, dramatic ways. You know, sound bites and big declarations.
Which has to be great for memory recall. And motivation, too.
Oh, absolutely. If you're practicing a line from a character you love, you're so much more invested in getting the tone right, getting the clarity perfect.
The motivation completely shifts. It's not about finishing homework anymore. It's about delivering a powerful moment.
And by channeling a hero, students are naturally pushed to use those big, expansive gestures, to take up space and be loud, which is often the single biggest hurdle in fluency training.
I could just see the practical benefits. You're basically creating a low-risk, high-reward training simulation for real-world communication.
You are.
Every student is getting practice in being persuasive, assertive, and articulate.
And so importantly, the focus of the performance is on the delivery, not on perfect grammar. When the audience is caught up in the drama of it, minor errors just fade away.
Which reinforces the main message.
That effective communication is about impact and connection, not just about being grammatically correct. Now, we really have to emphasize that the success of this model, it relies so heavily on consistency. This isn't just a one-off event they do for a bit of publicity.
Right, that's the structural backbone.
Right.
The documentation shows that the Institute holds special classes every single Saturday that are just for dialogue delivery and performance.
That weekly commitment,
Yeah,
that changes everything.
it does. It makes performance a core part of the culture, not just an optional extra.
Think about what that requires logistically, culturally. You need the space, the time, educators who are trained for this, and a student body that's willing to be vulnerable and, physical with their learning every week.
It makes the hardest part of language learning, speaking out loud, with conviction, in front of people, a regular non-negotiable habit.
It ensures students are constantly engaging their body and their voice, which is, as we said, essential for actually embodying the language.
And you can't have that level of consistency without incredible staff. The report makes a point of this, thanking the global educators for their continuous support, creative ideas, and dedication.
And that phrase, creative ideas, is so telling. It suggests the curriculum isn't static. The educators are constantly coming up with new ways to keep students engaged.
And we also have to mention the leadership. The document names the founder of this whole vision. Dr. Madhvibhor Singh put a system in place that so radically challenges the norm, that requires some really dedicated leadership to build trust and keep the focus right.
It does, and the entire supportive, positive feeling of the Institute is summed up in their closing message to students. Keep rising, keep shining, keep achieving with excellence.
It's a culture built on the idea that students are capable of greatness.
And that performance is the key to unlocking it. They're cultivating a star mindset.
So wrapping this up, what's the core takeaway for you, our listener, from this deep dive into the ESC Institute? For me, it's this powerful validation that mastering communication skills, fluency, confidence, clarity might not be found in endless grammar drills.
No.
It might be found by harnessing creativity, physical commitment, and the confidence of performance.
So what does this all mean? It means that when you view language learning, or really any important communication, as a performance, it just fundamentally shifts your entire mindset.
It makes you intentional?
It forces intentionality in your delivery, it forces physical embodiment of your message, and it demands full engagement, all of which are essential for making your message not just heard, but actually remembered.
The lesson here is that being a great communicator means embracing the tools of an engaging performer. And this is something you can apply right now. So for a final provocative thought for you to chew on, think about an everyday communication challenge you face. Maybe it's negotiating a raise, or leading a virtual meeting, or just trying to sell a complex idea. Could adopting effective body language, or delivering your message with enthusiasm, just like an ESC shining star getting ready for their superhero show, actually change the outcome? Just think about how much more persuasive you could be when your entire self, not just your carefully chosen words, is fully committed to the message.